How could you ever possibly know how to love the people in your life if you've never asked them how they wanted to be loved?
What do you need from me? Well, what's wrong? I'm your host, Eric Brown, and with me, Mr. Mike Jones.
What's up?
man?
What's up?
Let's get in this, man.
Let's
This
go,
is a
baby.
good one. I love this
Yes,
one.
sir.
Love it.
Yes,
Love
sir.
it. Love it. So, the question on the floor, man, is when you come to somebody, and I recently was speaking with my sister because my mom's having a little bit of a tough time, and I was asking my sister, what do you need from me in the context of helping out with my mom? And she got defensive, bro. She was like, "No, I don't need anything. I got this," kind of a deal. And I'm just focused to be more supportive.
Yeah, and quite often when we ask that question of somebody, they feel like we're saying that they're inadequate or that they don't have their stuff together or that they can't handle the situation. And I know that every one of you that is in a significant relationship will resonate with this. Quite often, when we are telling the people that are the closest to us what we need from them, we're doing it in an ineffective way because now we're pissed off or we're frustrated in the relationship and we're now communicating what we're not getting in the relationship and the reason why we're angry or frustrated. That is very ineffective communication. In those moments, the absolute thing that they're going to do, and you've witnessed this, is they're going to get defensive, which means that there is going to be a fray. There's going to be one person right fighting, defending what their truth is versus your truth. And that's what we refer to as conflict or an argument. And when the dust settles, we're still exactly where we were prior to that encounter.
Man, you're so spot on there because I can think of a time at work where I was talking to a team member of mine and, we had some KPIs that were missed. And I'm asking her, what do you need from me in order to achieve it? And she absolutely felt that I was, not on her side in that. And so what would be your coaching instead of being defensive or thinking that they're inadequate? How do we go and ask that question where they receive it as support?
Well, I think my best example that I can offer here, Eric, is an example that I learned of this week from one of our graduates from Team 277. That's the Master Graduate Leadership Program that we do. That's the 4-day all-inclusive program where you're truly wiping the smoke off the mirror and really getting to know yourself better. I submit in this present moment that in order for me to get to know the people in my life better, in order for me to get to know Susan better, in order for me to get to know my children better, I've got to better understand myself. It's got to start with me. When I understand myself better, it will allow me to understand them better. So the example that I learned this week from one of our past graduates who happens to be an elementary school teacher. She had a kid in her class that was dealing with some conflict. He was upset and he got aggressive with her. So she kneeled down. So y'all got to hear me today because I'm going somewhere with this, baby. So listen with the intent to be influenced. She kneeled down. She got on his level and she communicated to him at his level, focused on identifying why he was so upset, why he was being aggressive. And when he communicated to her what his issue was, what he was frustrated about, and she asked him in that moment, "So what do you need from me?" This little 7-year-old said, "I need a hug." Now, how couldn't that touch your heart? But here's the message that I want you to know. When you are dealing with the people in your life, rather than becoming aloof, becoming angry or frustrated when they're communicating what they need from you, I am going to encourage you to take a moment to get on their level. What do I mean by that? I mean, meet them where they are. So watch this. When we were raising children, I can speak to myself. When I was raising my children, whenever I reached down and I picked them up and I held them in my arms, they could see what I see, the way that I saw it. They were on my level. I did not attempt to get them to see it from where they were. I picked them up and I brought them to my level for them to be able to see the world from the same perspective that I was seeing the world. In other words, when we take the time to lift people up, to ask them what they need from us, to truly meet them where they are, we don't necessarily have to understand fully what they have experienced in their life, but if we can demonstrate the empathy of putting ourselves in their shoes, we could be more compassionate and loving in those moments, more kind to be able to help them to receive from us what they need in order to be fulfilled.
So you mentioned, though, that quite often somebody's coming off as angry or frustrated. What do you do to ensure that you're not in that emotion when you meet the person where they're at?
Yeah, and because you only have 100% control over you, I'm speaking to you. Rather than allowing whatever it is that you're dealing with and observing that you're unhappy about to marinate for a period of time until you become frustrated, deal with it in the moment. If you deal with it in the moment, the emotion is not going to have had an opportunity to build to the point of frustration. Now, I'm going to say this to you, and I really want you to hear me today. Anger is always a secondary emotion. It is never a primary emotion, which means if you find yourself angry, it is because you have gone through the cycle of frustration and disappointment or whatever else came before anger. So if I begin to take care of these things before I get frustrated, then there's less anger in this relationship in the context of how we are interacting with each other.
Wow, that's the world I want to live in, where everyone is focused on what they need from each other to synergistically make this world a better place.
Absolutely. And if you truly want to know what it feels like to be there for somebody else, do not wait for frustration and anger before you have this conversation. Take a moment in the loving, calm energy that exists when we're at peace, when we're at an absolute moment of calmness, to sit down and ask the question, what do you need from me to make this relationship even better than it is? There is nothing wrong. There is nothing broken. There is nothing that needs to be fixed. But the one thing that we are clear about is we all occupy the largest room in the house, which is a room for improvement. If you truly want to get to that improvement, you're going to have to get yourself out on that edge, baby. Because if you are not on the edge, you are taking up far too much room.
Here we go now.
Here we go now.